Hello and welcome to No Rest for the Weekend. I'm Jason Godbey, and we're here in the studio today. We're going to talk about some films from this year's Tribeca Film Festival. But first, here's a quick word from our sponsor.
No Rest for the Weekend's coverage of the Tribeca Film Festival is sponsored by Black Magic Design, the world's highest quality products for the feature film, post and broadcast industries. blackmagicdesign.com.
All right, now joining me, Eric McClanahan, straight off the red carpet at Tribeca. How's your Tribeca, man?
It has been fantastic, man. I've seen a lot of great films, and I've been to the carpets, and I've been able to talk to a lot of the creators, a lot of people involved. And anytime I get to come to Manhattan and hang out with you, it's a good time.
Dude, we call it No Rest for the Fest for a reason. I haven't slept in a week, but I'm glad that you actually got to see some movies. I haven't gotten to see many movies. We've gotten a lot of interviews, got a lot of red carpet stuff. You're about to actually go out to the red carpet again, but we were shooting another interview here in the studio and decided to say, hey, let's just do an impromptu episode and talk about some movies.
Yeah.
So
there's very few people I haven't talked to.
What have you got? What have you got?
So, as I said, I've been able to watch a lot of the films. I got a lot of screeners, and I've been burning the midnight oil, watching a lot of the features. And one of the ones I watched most recently that I really enjoyed, and I'm really excited to talk about, it's called Adult Best Friends. It's co-written, co-directed, co-produced, and co-starring Delaney Buffett, daughter of the late Jimmy Buffett, and Katie Corwin. And they play characters named, respectively, Delaney and Katie. So right away, you know, there's a lot of authenticity in this picture. They're 30-somethings. Delaney's character is a bit adrift. You know, we meet them when they're teenagers at a sleepover, and the boys are going to play a kissing game, and Katie goes into a bathroom to touch up her lip blush, and she finds Delaney hiding in the shower, and they agree to leave, abscond elsewhere, and their friendship forms, and they guide one another through a lot of important parts of their life. Well, Katie is growing a little faster, has less arrested development than Delaney. She's met a wonderful man. They're getting ready to get married. She knows it's going to break Delaney's heart, so she says, let's go on a girls' trip. I'll break the news there. Everything that can go wrong goes wrong. It's very funny. It's very, again, authentic. And by the end, very touching. Like, I got choked up towards the end of this film. It was a really great story about not just Arrested Development, but the people who pull us through these moments in our lives, the people who see us through, the people who are there the whole time, at the beginning, on the other side. And it was also dedicated to Jimmy Buffett. 5 songs of his are in the soundtrack. Land Shark Beer is featured very prominently in one of the pivotal scenes. Funny, moving. I think we see a lot of potential from these two. So I'm very excited that I was able to watch this, and very excited that it's here at Tribeca.
I'm getting like Sideways vibes.
I would say, yes, Sideways. Sideways meets Bridesmaids.
Okay. Is it that Bridesmaids level of humor though? Like that wacky
There are
top stuff?
Yeah, there's some there's strippers and dog poo, and yeah, there's some toilet humor with the heartfelt stuff.
Heartfelt toilet humor. I like it. All right, let's move on to the next one. They're going to put that on the poster. Heartfelt toilet humor.
I interviewed Justin Long about his movie, which he referred to as a fart-warming comedy. So, you know, if that can happen, this can happen.
Sure.
A little more serious now. There was another feature I watched called Don't You Let Me Go from Uruguay. And it's again, adult best friends.
We talked about this on the preview episode,
yes,
I think.
Because I read the log line.
It was a really interesting premise.
Yeah, and I was like, that's going to be good. And so I watched the film, and the film is really beautiful in that, you know, she's the main character, Adela, is at this wake for her friend Elena, who has passed away. And the wake is attended by generations of people. There's children running around who don't really know what's happening. There's old people who have been to too many of these. And there's a lot of her contemporaries who are adults. And they keep talking about her in the past tense in a way that doesn't feel natural. So Adela leaves, and a bus pulls up right outside her car that's going to a destination that she once went to with Elena. And so she boards the bus, and sure enough, it takes her back in time. She gets to a beach house that they spend a weekend in, and there's Elena. And so they spend the weekend together. And it's clear as the film moves forward that it's not time travel, it's not revisionist history, it's memory. You can see that whenever she wants to say,
So she's going back in her own
in her
memories.
memories,
Oh,
yeah.
interesting.
So when it's like, oh, and then we went to the market, cut to the market. Like it uses filmmaking terminology within the way that we access our own memories. And we can stay in those for as long as we want, or we can go through the painful process of moving forward. And that's what I really found the film to be about. It ends with this fantastical element about trapping moments in time and creating your own Arrested Development, or you can choose to move through grief in a more adult and meaningful way.
It's like kind of Eternal Sunshine vibes.
Less fantastical,
Oh,
actually.
okay.
There's a lot of groundedness to it.
Interesting.
Yeah, but it was I liked it a lot. I thought it was really good. Again, it is from Uruguay, so it is subtitled. So I know that's a turnoff for some.
So we just interviewed guys who made a picture in Argentina.
Mhm.
It's another south of the border South American feature. Cool. All right, what else you got?
Well, keeping with the international features, I also, and I talked about this in the preview episode, this film called Hunters on a White Field from Sweden. It's about these two experienced hunters who work at the same firm, and they bring one of the other guys from the firm to go hunting at one of their brother's cabin. It's going to be the last trip there because his wife has grown disenfranchised with the men's riotous, debaucherous actions, and so she's going to put the kibosh on them going to the cabin. So it's like the last hurrah. And so they go out and they're hunting and they're bonding and you know they're take him under their wing, and it seems things are going well. They're bonding in a way that men do. But then one morning they wake up to go out to do their hunting for the day, and all the creatures are gone. The forest is silent. There are
Oh,
frogs.
she really put the kibosh on this.
Right.
Like
She was like, voila! But there's nothing to hunt. And then that sort of rams up against the masculine idea of conquest, of victory, of, you know,
There's
we
nothing
have
to conquer.
exactly, like, but we came out here to prove our dominance over nature. So they hunt one another. And it really toys with the ideas of masculinity, the destructive nature of the need to conquest, of the need to be a winner, of the need to establish dominance over one's domain. It plays with time and with perception. There are parts of the film that I will admit I didn't quite get, but it's definitely.
Do you have to be Swedish or something to get them, maybe? Or
I don't believe so. It is really funny. At one point in the film, they're talking over a concept, and one of them says, "Look, to put it in plain Swedish," and, and that's in the subtitles. So I was like, "Okay, so that's a phrase everywhere. That's nice."
right.
I will definitely watch it again. I think it commands repeat viewings, but it was a great feature. I really enjoyed it.
I used to watch a lot of Bergman films when I was like younger, and I was like, I know this is good, but I don't get this, but I'm going to keep watching it until I get it. And I remember my friend and I was like, we just determined that Swedish was like you took English, put it on a record player, and then wound it backward. Like but it does. The great thing about it is it does. Whenever you see a foreign film, especially if you don't know who the actors are, if they're not super famous, those actors are just those characters for you.
Mhm.
You don't have any reference, so it's like it's less of a suspension of disbelief. They just become those people, and you can get really more enthralled into it because you're not trying to get over the hurdle of like, oh, that's Jeff Bridges, or or that's Robert Downey Jr. and he's playing this guy, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
Why does Jeff Goldblum have fly wings coming out of his back?
but it's I don't know. Do we have to like leave the country to get creative? Both of these movies are foreign films, and they sound really creative.
No, I don't think so. I think I think work like this is being done here in America too. It's just maybe not reaching the level of sophistication that's going to send it to film festivals like Tribeca.
Okay.
But I do think that creativity is worldwide. Just as I said that the phrase, one to say, but let me put it in plain English, or let me put it in plain Swedish, that is universal. But yeah,
It sounds like a really interesting film, man.
I liked it a lot.
All these sound like incredible films.
That's the beauty of working these festivals, is that we get festival-worthy, prestigious films.
Also, a lot of this stuff, like you're talking about best international feature contenders, you're talking about some of these other things, and you don't know, like they could be giant hits at some point, or they could come out and nothing happens, or they could never come out.
Right. Also
Like
true.
this, if you're a festival goer, and that's if you're watching this, you probably are. This is your chance to see these movies for the first time, but also maybe ever. I mean, hopefully because these are in Tribeca or they've gotten to a South by Southwest or Sundance, they'll get distribution. But you never know.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, speaking of, after this, I'm going to the carpet for Between the Temples, which I watched earlier this year because of the Sundance Film Festival.
Right.
And now it's here at the Tribeca Film Festival. But when will it be going to theaters for everyone else to see it? That remains to be seen.
Last year, I interviewed Jennifer Esposito about her film Fresh Kills on the red carpet. That just came out in June. That was a year cycle. So, the good thing is, like, if you're getting them now, you're sort of getting them early, and then, we're already reviewing them. So, like, a lot of people are like, oh, why am I worried about these films, or why would I even think about these films? They're not out yet, but they will be. Just the internet lasts a long time. This will be up there. So when you're like, oh, I heard of this movie, then you can check out the review, and then then you can see it again. Like Hitman just came out on Netflix. I interviewed that last year in October for New York Film Festival, and it just came out now. And the review's still there. You can check it out. It's a funny movie, but like that's why it's great to do these things. And if you do them toward the end of the year, then like New York Film Festival and Mill Valley and AFI, those are all the Oscar contender type things. So if you want like a preview to the Oscars, check out those episodes. All right, man, what else you got?
So another one that I watched, the same night that I watched Adult Best Friends, I also watched this film called Rent Free. Rent Free begins in New York City.
Fantasy film.
Yes. Begins in New York City, and when you get to the establishing location, there's a title card on the screen that tells you the address, the bed bath, and the rent. And that's a recurrent thing throughout the film. So these guys are going to stay with some friends of theirs who live in the city. The guys, Ben and Jordan. They're best friends since high school. They appear to be just out of college, so early 20s. And they're going to stay with their friends, mutual friends in New York City, and make something of themselves. But they end up kind of torpedoing that opportunity. So they go back to Austin, Texas, where they're from, with their tail between their legs. And they try to decide what they're going to do.
Is there another rent card that's much less?
Absolutely. But still unwieldy. And so they decide, hey, you know what we should do? Let's crash with friends. Let's couch surf. Let's save all of our pennies. Let's try to live the next year rent-free. And then we'll save up our money and we'll go back to New York and try and do it on our own. Over the course of this year, they find themselves, staying here, staying there, friends. They test a lot of bonds of those friendships, as happens when you let friends stay in your home. They test the bonds of their own friendship as they, again, sort of torpedo places through actions. It's very funny. It's very hard to watch at times because they are somewhat self-destructive. But it's an eye-opener, and as someone who is from Texas and spent some time in Austin, I saw a lot of familiar locations, and it does open the eyes of those who aren't aware of what the tenant situation is like right now in this country, in that state, in New York City, and what the youthful experience is in a world that is quickly and rapidly pricing a lot of people out of existence.
Yeah, I was as you were thinking that, I'm like, is this a reality show? Like, it sounds like a reality competition show. People just trying to survive in New York City. Like, I've had to find apartments here. Most of the people that I know have had to couch surf or been somewhat homeless for a period of time, and just trying to find a place to land. Mm-hmm. And if you have a job, that's a second job. I mean, the film sounds like a horrible nightmare. Honestly, like it feels like it's going to bring back a lot of traumatic memories.
The leads are quite charming. Ben and Jordan, they're fun to watch. Ben is the more destructive of the two. He just makes a lot of bad decisions, but he has a good heart, and I enjoyed it.
All right. Is there anyone in it that we know about? Are there any names in the film?
Not that I recall. No.
Okay.
Sorry. I was laughing because Zachary Quinto plays the older brother of Katie in Adult Best Friends, and he has a Tom Selleck mustache, and he plays a pretentious poet, and it's gorgeous. And it's just hilarious.
I can see that.
But again, I watched those in the same night.
Worth it for the mustache.
Yes, worth it for the mustache. All right. Have you seen any films?
I saw a couple of films. The one film that I will talk about is Griffin and Summer.
Mm-hmm.
I interviewed the director and the two leads from that film. Check that video out. Check that episode out. Lovely. So this movie, just to give you the overview of it. So Griffin is a 14-year-old kid who is on his summer break and is writing sort of Edward Albee type plays, but from the perspective, he's a 14-year-old, but he's writing for people in their 30s and 40s, and he wants to put this play on. He's looking for a venue. The opening scene is him acting out a scene from the play at like the school talent show, and next thing he's on the phone. Yeah, I knew teenagers weren't going to get it. This kid's. It's like I said to the actor, I was like, I don't know where they found a 30-year-old man trapped in a 14-year-old body. But like that's what this kid is, and he's hilarious. Everett Blunk is the actor's name, and he's wonderful. Owen Teague is in it, and the last time we saw Owen Teague, he was a CGI ape in Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. He was like the lead ape. Wonderful part. He's got a very James Deany kind of vibe, and so he plays this handyman that Griffin's mom is hired to help her around the house because the dad is like split. And it's a very contentious situation between the parents. Everett, young Griffin, he's trying to get he's doing this serious play, but all of his friends are like trying to be kids for the summer. And like at one point, his friend, this girl who's going to be the director of the play, she's like, I think I think the rehearsal schedule is a little intense. She's like, what do you mean? 60 hours is standard for equity, And man, so he's trying to get that done, but then his life is complicated when he falls in love with Owen Teague's character. And I found it incredibly relatable because I was that kid who was like trying to make movies in the basement and trying to do all this like very serious stuff and like with this intensity. And I don't know if this ever happened to you, but like you have this thing that you're trying to accomplish and you can't imagine why everybody else in your life is not trying to accomplish it with you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like why isn't this important to you? It's so important to me that you have like tunnel vision, and it's a teenage thing, and it's really the story of like a kid kind of learning how to be a kid. And one of the fascinating things I thought about it because I'm of a generation where, so if you made this movie in the 90s, for instance, if there was this could have been a 90s indie film. Like, this is just a film about humans. There's no robots, there's no spaceships. And there would have been a much bigger deal about this kid discovering his sexuality and realizing he's attracted to this man. That would have been a whole drama. Nothing is said of it. They just go, it's just like, and I think that's a reflection on society. I think it's the way kids are raised today. And it's much, much healthier because if this film was made 30 years ago, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but this would have been like a whole identity crisis movie about this kid coming to grips about how he was raised and how he feels. But none of that happens.
Griffin in his gay summer.
Yeah, exactly. There's some really lovely scenes between the two characters, between Griffin and the handyman, where you can see that the kid is just like admires this guy because he's been to New York and he was a performance artist who's a terrible performance artist, and the scenes of performance art are hilarious. But like, he just admires him because he went out to New York, and that's where he wants to go. He wants to leave his small town upbringing. It's a real coming of age story, but it's a little bit in reverse because it's like a kid trying to learn how to be a kid.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's beautiful. Like, it's a really beautiful and very, very funny.
Is it a period piece?
No, no, it's now.
It's set.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
set right now, which I thought was great. And the but like great. Now I don't know what this film is going to do in terms of distribution, but I hope it'll get somewhere. I think it'll get somewhere. I mean, just off of like Owen Teague's name alone, because he was just in a big giant tentpole movie.
Yeah.
But
And the Griffin's mother character, that's Melanie Linsky, yes?
right, and
Yeah.
she's very sort of she's the mom, but she's like sort of a special guest star in her son's life because she's going through all this drama with the dad. And the funny thing is like if you shot that movie from a different perspective, it could be about this mother struggling to keep her life together and not, destroy herself drinking too much wine while she's trying to raise this really like, you know, uh, precocious young kid. All right, I'm getting the wrap up sign from Yasin.
All right.
So we can wrap it up on that note and come back with some more. But for more No Rest for the Weekend, visit our website, norestfortheweekendpodcast.com. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app. And, more film festival coverage, more movie reviews. We got lots more coming your way. You can subscribe. All of the red carpet videos are already out on YouTube for the most part, youtube.com/getbehindtherabbit. You can find more episodes there as well as our website and your favorite podcast app. I want to thank Eric McClanahan for stopping by the studio and doing this with me, and our sponsor, Blackmagic Design. For Behind the Rabbit Productions, I'm Jason Godbey. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
This is the BTRP Media Network.